In China, a word you hear a lot is shengnan. In English, this means leftover men. It's a name for men, often in their late 20s or older, who are not married. This isn't always because they choose to be single. In Chinese culture, there's a lot of pressure to get married and have children to carry on the family name. These men often feel looked down on or like they have failed. They are stuck in a numbers problem that started many years ago. Just the name leftover men is hard to carry. It shows how worried people are about marriage and families continuing. People in their towns often feel sorry for them and worry about them. This shows how important marriage is in the culture. The main reason there are leftover men is because there are many more men than women. This happened mostly because of China's one-child policy. This rule was in place from 1979 to 2015. Also, many families traditionally wanted boys more than girls, so this policy meant many families chose to have boys instead of girls. As a result, for many years a lot more boys were born than girls. Now these boys are grown men, and there just aren't enough women for them to marry. This numbers problem is very clear. It makes it very hard to find someone to marry. The things that happened because of this policy a long time ago are now causing big problems for millions of people in their personal lives. Having more men than women really changes things when it comes to marriage. Men have to compete a lot to find a wife. This has made the bride price, called Kaylee, go up. The Kylie is a gift of money or things that the man's family gives to the woman's family before they get married. In many areas, these prices have become very, very high. This makes getting married so expensive that it can ruin a man's money, or he just can't afford it at all. Men from the countryside or who don't earn much money have an even harder time. They find it hard to pay the growing amounts of money needed to find a wife in their own country. This money trouble adds to the pressure they already feel from everyone around them. What happens to a leftover man can be very personal and sad. Many feel very lonely and cut off from others. Not being able to marry and have kids is often seen as failing to do their duty to their parents and family. This duty is called filial piety. This is a very important idea from Confucius, who taught about respecting and taking care of your parents and family from long ago. This can make them feel very bad in their minds. Some men are treated unfairly or seen as not as good as others by people they know. This can make them feel bad about themselves and sometimes very desperate. Because it's hard to find a wife in China, some of these leftover men look for wives in other countries. They often look in countries nearby like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Some also look in places like Eastern Europe. The main reason is they think there are more women available there. They hope to find wives in countries where there isn't such a big difference between the number of men and women. Or, they think women from other countries might expect different things from marriage. Marriage brokers often help them in this search. Some of these brokers are honest, but many are not. A big reason for this is money. The high bride prices in China stop many men. Many leftover men think marrying a woman from another country will cost less. They hope they won't have to pay the high Kylie and other big wedding costs common in China. There are still costs like paying an agency and travel, but it often seems like a cheaper choice. But this idea can be wrong. The real costs, both in money and feelings, are often hidden or bigger than they think, especially for men who are desperate to marry. They think that in countries with less money, brides might not expect so much money. Ideas about culture also matter, but sometimes these ideas are just stereotypes and not really true. Some Chinese men think women from some other countries might be more traditional. They might expect these women to obey more or be more focused on taking care of the family. This sounds good to men who feel that Chinese women want too much freedom or ask for too much. These ideas are often spread by brokers and stories online. They make it seem like foreign women are very happy to marry Chinese men and be traditional wives. But these stereotypes are usually not like the real story of marriages between people from different cultures, which can be complicated. Being desperate to marry and do what society expects is a very strong reason. For many leftover men, finding a wife isn't just about being happy themselves, it's about having a good place in society and making their families happy. The pressure to have children to carry on the family name is very strong. So, looking for a wife from another country can seem like the only way. It gives them a little bit of hope when things seem impossible. This desperation can make men easy targets for people who want to cheat them or use them, because their main goal is to find a wife, no matter what it takes. The Chinese government is more and more worried about this situation. The government has warned men about the dangers of buying wives from other countries. These warnings point out the risks of people being tricked or forced into marriage, and of marriage scams. The government stresses that many of these marriages are against the law. They also say that both the men and the foreign women can be badly used or hurt. Government messages often say it's important to get married in ways that are legal and right. They want to protect people and make sure laws are followed, both in China and in other countries. The government hopes to stop the bad things that can happen with these marriages between countries. There are big legal and social problems for the men who do this. Many businesses that arrange these international marriages are not clearly legal, or they are just illegal. Men who use them can get into very complicated legal trouble. This can be problems with papers for moving to a new country, visas, and whether their marriage is even real under the law. Also, if the marriage is found to be part of a plan to trick or force people, the men could get into very serious trouble. The dream of finding a wife can quickly become a terrible mess of legal problems and losing money. The fact that these deals are not open and clear is a big warning sign. Besides legal problems, there are also big emotional and cultural problems. Many of these marriages are set up very quickly. The man and woman often don't have much time to learn about each other. Not speaking the same language and having different ways of life can be huge problems. These can cause them to not understand each other, fight, and in the end, the marriage can fall apart. The foreign brides might feel alone, be hurt, or be used badly. They are often far from their homes and don't have many people to help them. The men might find that their new wife is unhappy or can't get used to life in China. This makes their home life very stressful. There are many cases of cheating. Some men pay a lot of money to brokers but then find out the woman they were promised isn't real. Or the woman might leave soon after she comes to China, sometimes taking money or valuable things with her. These runaway brides leave the men with no money and feeling very hurt. Because there aren't many rules for the international marriage business, it's easy for bad people and criminal groups to work. The government's warnings try to tell men about these tricks. They are trying to stop their people from being tricked by clever scams that use their wish for a wife and family. This situation with leftover men and men looking for wives in other countries will have big effects on Chinese society for a long time. The main cause, having more men than women, will keep affecting how society works for many years. This numbers problem will probably keep up the pressure on men to get married. It could also make society less stable if many men stay unmarried and are pushed to the side. Society gets stressed when something as basic as forming families is messed up this much. This causes small problems that spread and become bigger problems for towns and the whole country. The government's warnings are important, but they might not stop men who are very desperate. As long as the main problems of too many men and high marriage costs don't go away, some men will keep looking for wives in other countries. This could mean ongoing problems with people being tricked, forced, or used badly. It also brings up hard questions about how people from different cultures can live together in China. The children from these marriages between people from different countries might have their own special problems. These could be problems about who they are, what country they belong to, and how they fit into a society where most people are similar. How society reacts to these new kinds of families will be very important. Slowly, people's ideas about marriage and family might change. The problems leftover men have might make more people question old ideas about what is expected. Maybe being single will become more okay, or new kinds of families might appear. But these kinds of changes in culture usually happen slowly, and some people will be against them. Until then, how unmarried men are doing socially and in their minds will still be a worry. To help them, more is needed than just warnings. Big changes in society and the economy will be needed. This includes dealing with the high cost of living and getting married. In the end, the problem of leftover men shows the surprising results of old rules and very old cultural ways. China has a difficult problem that needs to be solved in many different ways. This means working on the problem of too many men with long-term plans. It also means giving social help to people who are not married. Also, it's very important to have stricter rules for marriage brokers and for countries to work together to fight against the tricking and forcing of people. Whether Chinese society will be stable and peaceful in the future might depend on how well these big, old problems are handled in the next few decades. The decisions made now will affect how society looks for many, many years.